Good evening, everyone. Today we will be discussing social learning theory and its effects on crime by juveniles. Social learning theory incorporates blended doctrines of both cognitive and behavioral theories. It is most popularly associated in the work by Albert Bandura around 1977. Social learning theory posits that people learn from one another through imitation, observation, and modeling. There are 4 components to observational learning, which include attention, retention, motor reproduction, and motivation. Social learning can occur as a result of cognitive and environmental influences. People can learn by observing others' behavior as well as from the consequences of those behaviors. Learning and performance are not necessarily the same thing. People can learn behaviors at the time they observe them, but not perform them until a later time or not at all. Reinforcement plays a key role in learning, although it is not a necessary component of the learning process. As we have learned thus far, the environment and cognitive abilities have tremendous effect on learning and ultimately the development of behavior. Does this mean everyone is a product of their own environment? To a degree, yes. This, however, does not mean everyone is forced to behave or live a certain way, but that their behavior will be significantly influenced and their future will have a likely outcome if prevention is not enabled. That being said, how do you think this affects crime? As many researchers have found, regions and demographics with higher unemployment rates, low rates of education, and overall lower socioeconomic levels will tend to have increased crime rates, more substandard housing, worsened school quality and attendance, more dangerous neighborhoods, and issues with drugs and homelessness. There are 3 important factors we need to look into in relation to juveniles. These include biological, psychological, and social. Multiple studies have found that individuals living at or below the poverty line will experience increased health risks, have faulty health care or no health insurance, and have little to no access to nutritious food, leaving many to rely on fast food. All of these factors will not only affect the physical aspects of families and children, but will also begin to affect their mental state and be passed on from generation to generation in the form of habits. If a person is hungry, they are less likely to be able to pay attention or grasp new concepts and will take additional repetition. Over time, overall decreased health can have detrimental effects on multiple generations, causing impaired learning and more concern for the basic needs than supplementary learning or extracurricular activities. Parents or single caretakers are often forced to work long hours with small wages, leaving one or more child behind in the other's care or on their own unsupervised. Children with impaired learning, decreased physical fulfillment, and no role models can be significantly influenced by numerous negative outlets. These outlets will help to mold their opinions, ideologies, and overall behavior. Many children in these types of situations also endure abuse, neglect, little to no attention in the home or school, and are left to fend for themselves, ultimately resulting in the need to survive on their own. This can result in depression, anxiety, PTSD, mood disorders, learning difficulties, and numerous other psychological issues. As a result of the increased physiological and psychological risks associated with a harmful environment, children will also require an authority figure in which to mirror their actions. If there are no parental figures or trusted caretakers, children and teenagers often seek out places or people who they can belong to or fit in with. These individuals will be able to provide protection, belonging, and resources. This type of support can come from a group of peers, older adults in the community, media, or gangs. These new role models will be financially successful, may not be the best figures to instill morals, ethics, respect, and good community skills. By understanding all of this information regarding the environment and cognitive influences on juveniles, it is pertinent for reduction and prevention strategies and policies. The first strategy I recommend is to construct an after-school program that allows children and teenagers a safe place to do homework, have a healthy dinner, receive mentorship, and participate in sports. This program could be managed by the city and the law enforcement officers, including volunteers and possibly college students earning credits or internships. By providing a space that implements healthy behaviors and assists in success for their future, it is hopeful that these children and teenagers will observe and mimic good behavior outside of the home and street environment. A second item I propose is a change to school policy that supports schools with additional resources, funds, and assistance for teachers. By relieving some of the stress that each teacher has, this could help influence the productivity and care for each student. As a law enforcement officer, it is not only about responding to a crime, but also preventing it at all levels. Lastly, I suggest that law enforcement receive training so many times a year on the city they work in addition to the crime rates, their actions on duty, the effect on a long-term mission, and this training would also incorporate topics such as equal opportunity, stereotyping, racism, rules and regulations, the demographics, and an overall reminder of their primary role as a law enforcement officer. Ultimately, it is my intent to provide these 3 recommendations to help better integrate law enforcement officers into the community to establish trust, recognition, respect, understanding, and most importantly, to develop a relationship outside of the understood authority and citizen figure. By promoting healthy relationships between the community and its officers, this will also help in preventing crime against the community as everyone becomes an important factor in the city's success.